Following Donald Trump's re-election in 2024, the cracks in the relationship between the United States and Germany have widened into a chasm, leading many to question the future of the transatlantic alliance. Once unshakable ties between the two nations are now being tested amid growing tensions in the economic, defense, and diplomatic spheres. Unprecedented criticism from German leaders suggests a potential departure from established transatlantic bonds. Of particular concern is the perceived U.S. interference in European politics. Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to the Munich Security Conference, where he lashed out at European governments and met with leaders of the far-right German party Alternative for Germany, AfD, was seen as an encroachment on sovereignty and interference in Germany's internal affairs. Such actions have drawn sharp rebukes from German politicians. Friedrich Merz, leader of the Christian Democratic Union, CDU, and a likely future chancellor, has called for Germany to gradually gain independence from the United States, citing the Trump administration's indifference to European concerns. In the realm of trade, German companies are also reassessing their presence in the U.S. due to the volatile political climate, with some already relocating operations to more stable Canada. Today marked a particularly telling episode in the series of shifting decisions by energy giants. RWE, a leading German electricity producer, unexpectedly froze plans to develop its offshore wind energy projects in the United States. During the company's quarterly earnings report, CEO Markus Kreber announced a temporary suspension of activities in the offshore zone, emphasizing close monitoring of developments. Such prudence comes at a cost. The most significant blow has been dealt to the 3-gigawatt community offshore wind joint venture, implemented in partnership with British National Grid in New York State. RWE, which holds a 73% controlling stake, has invested approximately €1.31 billion, equivalent to $1.49 billion in the project. Beyond the substantial financial investment, the enterprise was slated to provide clean energy to over 1 million households on the East Coast, serving as a cornerstone of the company's North American ambitions. Notably, in parallel with this, RWE is actively increasing its presence in the renewable energy sector in Canada, with a particular focus on solar energy. In the province of Alberta, the company operates 2 photovoltaic plants, Prairie Sunlight 2, with a capacity of 25 megawatts, and Prairie Sunlight 3, with a capacity of 22 megawatts. These facilities, erected by RWE Electric, a subsidiary of RWE, collectively generate enough green electricity to supply approximately 12,500 Canadian homes. In 2025, several German companies launched large-scale operations in Canada, focusing on renewable energy, green hydrogen, and electric vehicle infrastructure. This trend reflects not only Germany's desire to share its advanced clean energy technologies, but also its recognition of Canada as a strategically important partner in achieving sustainable development. One of the most ambitious projects is the initiative by Power Company, a Volkswagen subsidiary, to build a massive battery cell production plant in Ontario. This project is a key element of Volkswagen's strategy to increase electric vehicle production in North America and create a reliable battery supply chain. Construction is well underway, and the facility is expected to launch in 2025. The project promises significant economic benefits for Ontario, including new jobs, investment in advanced manufacturing technologies, and the strengthening of Canada's position as a crucial hub in the North American electric vehicle market. In the field of renewable energy and clean fuels, Uniper, one of Germany's largest energy groups, has entered into a partnership with Canadian company Everwind Fuels to build a renewable hydrogen and ammonia production facility in Nova Scotia. This collaboration is part of a large-scale Canadian-German hydrogen alliance, aimed at creating a transatlantic corridor for exporting green hydrogen to Europe. The facility, which is scheduled to begin operations at the end of 2025, is expected to become a key link in the supply of green ammonia to the German market, allowing both countries to move closer to their climate goals and strengthen cooperation in the field of clean energy. German company Goldbeck Solar, having successfully completed the construction of the Youngstown Solar Park in Alberta in 2023, has established a firm foothold in the Canadian market through its subsidiary, Goldbeck Solar Canada Corp. This park is expected to generate approximately 13,000 megawatt-hours of electricity annually. The company is actively exploring opportunities to further expand its presence in Canada. Goldbeck Solar's steady expansion in Canada reflects a broader trend. European renewable energy companies are seeking to capitalize on the country's favorable policies and abundant natural resources. Another prominent player from Germany, Energy, is also actively involved in developing Canada's renewable energy sector. While specific projects slated for 2025 have not yet been announced, Energy's consistent efforts in wind and solar energy indicate the company's unwavering commitment to strengthening its market position. These activities are closely intertwined with Canada's ambitious climate goals, particularly its aspiration to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. German companies' investments are strategically aligned with Canada's recent policy initiatives aimed at stimulating renewable energy development, critical mineral extraction, and clean hydrogen production. Moreover, Canada's adherence to the Global Offshore Wind Alliance and its ongoing green hydrogen initiatives underscore the country's ambition to become a clean energy export leader, making it an attractive destination for German and other international investors. To fully understand the reasons for RWE's departure, it is necessary to carefully consider the political context, which has radically changed under the Trump administration. Early in his second term, in January 2025, President Trump signed a sweeping executive order temporarily freezing all new offshore wind projects, including lease sales and permitting activities in federal waters. The administration justified this move by citing the need for a comprehensive assessment of the economic and environmental impacts of such projects, which was projected to take several years. In addition to suspending new lease agreements, the administration rescinded a key 1977 executive order that empowered the Council on Environmental Quality, CEQ, to oversee compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act. This move effectively weakened federal oversight mechanisms that had traditionally protected major renewable energy projects from environmental damage, while simultaneously expediting the approval process for fossil fuel developments. Collectively, these actions created significant regulatory uncertainty in the offshore wind sector. Developers, already facing complex permitting procedures, now found themselves in an unpredictable and potentially hostile regulatory environment. For companies like RWE, the risks no longer outweighed the potential rewards, leading to the decision to withdraw. RWE's announcement did not occur in isolation. Their decision is symptomatic of a broader trend in the offshore wind industry, where companies are reassessing their strategies in the United States. For example, the Norwegian energy giant Equinor also suspended its Empire Wind 1 project, which involved building a 2.1 gigawatt facility off the coast of New York, following a stop work order from the U.S. Department of the Interior. Like RWE, Ecuador cited regulatory uncertainty as a major deterrent. The project, once considered a cornerstone of New York's clean energy future, now faces an indefinite delay. The French multinational giant NGI has also expressed serious concerns about its investments in the American economy. Company executives are raising alarms about murky tariff horizons, the unpredictability of tax benefits for manufacturing and investment projects, and the Trump administration's revisions to the Inflation Reduction Act, making future offshore wind projects increasingly risky. According to industry sources, many developers are taking a pause, postponing final investment decisions until the political storm subsides. Collectively, these warning signs paint a picture far from rosy. The offshore wind industry, seemingly poised for explosive growth along the American coast, is now feeling the chilling effects of uncertainty. Major international players, possessing invaluable experience and capital, are reconsidering their plans for American projects. All of this is happening at a time when achieving national climate goals requires urgent action. To better understand the role of renewable energy in the United States, it is necessary to look at the overall picture. Renewable energy sources are becoming an increasingly important element of the country's energy system, demonstrating impressive growth in recent years. By 2024, they already provided nearly a quarter of the country's total electricity, surpassing coal for the first time. This milestone reflects the massive transformation of the American energy landscape, where clean energy, especially wind and solar, plays an increasingly prominent role. The impressive surge in renewable energy in 2024 was marked by wind and solar power plants providing a record 17% of the country's total electricity generation, with wind energy accounting for a substantial 10 to 12%. This explosive growth was made possible by technological advancements and targeted policies to stimulate clean energy at the state level. The year was marked by the commissioning of 49 gigawatts of new clean energy capacity, a 33% increase over the previous record. Notably, 93% of all new generating capacity came from renewable sources, including more than 33 gigawatts of utility-scale solar installations and more than 11 gigawatts of energy storage, such as large-scale batteries. These achievements played a crucial role in meeting the growing demand for electricity, especially from rapidly growing sectors such as manufacturing and data centers, which are increasingly seeking reliable and environmentally friendly energy sources. However, the triumph of renewable energy was overshadowed by an unexpected turn of events. The return of President Donald Trump to the White House in January 2025 led to a sharp change in political course that severely impacted the wind energy sector. Almost immediately, the Trump administration put in place a series of decrees that had a profoundly negative impact on the industry. A key blow was the indefinite suspension of new offshore wind farm leases on the outer continental shelf. This move froze promising projects and created an atmosphere of uncertainty around those already underway, as existing leases were subjected to federal review. An additional blow was the freezing of federal funding for wind energy projects, leading to the suspension of grants and loans critical to the sector's development. The consequences of these decisions were devastating. A prime example was the Empire Wind project off the coast of New York, designed to provide electricity to more than 500,000 homes. Construction of this ambitious project was suspended pending additional administrative reviews, casting doubt on its future and the prospects for wind energy development in the region. Similar setbacks entailed a series of unfavorable consequences. Project timelines were stretched, inevitably leading to increased costs. Disruptions in supply chains became commonplace, and investor confidence was severely undermined. This situation created a threat to the offshore wind industry, which seemed poised to become a key element in the expansion of renewable energy use across America. Despite the difficulties faced by wind energy, other sectors of renewable energy demonstrated enviable resilience and even accelerated their pace of development. For example, solar energy accounted for 66% of all new generating capacity commissioned in the U.S. power grid in 2024. A significant increase in battery energy storage capacity also played a crucial role, increasing the grid's ability to cope with disruptions in renewable sources and providing backup power during peak demand periods. Nevertheless, the overall shift in federal policy, expressed in renewed interest in fossil fuel development and relaxed regulation, poses certain challenges for the long-term development of renewable energy sources. The suspension of offshore wind energy projects has serious implications for achieving national and regional clean energy goals. It could slow the creation of new jobs in promising industries and weaken the momentum toward a more sustainable and secure energy system. Despite the progressive movement of individual segments of the renewable energy industry, the uncertainty caused by changes in federal policy threatens further progress. At a time when global trends are increasingly favoring clean energy solutions, such stagnation could have far-reaching consequences beyond the interests of individual companies. The development of offshore wind energy has become a key element of many regional economic recovery strategies, particularly in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. The Empire Wind 1 project, for example, is expected to power approximately 500,000 homes and create over 1,000 high-paying jobs in sectors such as construction, engineering, and operations. Similarly, the RWE Community Offshore Wind Project promises to unlock extensive employment opportunities and revitalize local economies experiencing post-industrial decline. Offshore wind power has triumphantly entered the energy policy horizons of many states, solidifying its place in legislatively approved climate goals. New York, for instance, has set an ambitious target of 9,000 megawatts of offshore wind power capacity by 2035, while states like New Jersey, Massachusetts, and Virginia have followed suit. announcing equally bold plans. However, the sudden stagnation in this promising industry raises questions about the attainability of these goals and, consequently, undermines the United States' broader efforts to combat global warming. From an environmental perspective, the consequences are equally significant. Offshore wind power, like a beacon of hope, offers a clean and scalable alternative to fossil fuels, but delays in its development mean only one thing: continued reliance on carbon-intensive energy sources. In an era when climate scientists worldwide are sounding the alarm, calling for drastic emission reductions to prevent catastrophic warming, such setbacks reverberate across the entire planet. Predictably, RWE's announcement and the overall slowdown in offshore wind development have ignited a storm of political passions. Renewable energy advocates, including many Democratic governors and mayors, have urgently appealed to the federal government to reconsider its position. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, not mincing words, urged the Trump administration to lift the moratorium on offshore wind energy leases, emphasizing the colossal economic and environmental risks. At the federal level, Democratic lawmakers, driven by a sense of responsibility, have introduced a bill aimed at protecting and accelerating offshore wind development. This Offshore Wind Power Freedom Act, like a shield, is intended to deflect the impact of executive orders by mandating the continuation of lease sales and streamlining the permitting process. However, given the current political landscape in Congress, the fate of the bill hangs in the balance. Paradoxically, some coastal communities and Republican politicians have welcomed the Trump administration's actions, citing concerns about the aesthetic impact of wind turbines on the ocean horizon, potential harm to marine flora and fauna, and possible disruptions to the fishing industry. Thus, discussions surrounding offshore wind power reflect deeper partisan divisions in the United States regarding climate policy and environmental regulation. The decision by energy giant RWE to suspend its offshore wind activities in the United States vividly illustrates a large-scale reallocation of global investment flows in the renewable energy sector. This move reflects growing concerns among European energy companies about increasing regulatory uncertainty in the American market, especially during the administration of President Donald Trump. In contrast, Europe and certain regions of Asia are establishing themselves as more stable and attractive locations for offshore wind development. The European Union demonstrates unwavering political support for renewable energy sources, setting ambitious targets and providing a predictable regulatory framework. Countries such as the United Kingdom, Germany, and Denmark have unveiled extensive plans to expand offshore wind power, backed by consistent government support and clear policy directives. China has made an impressive leap, becoming a leading global power in offshore wind energy. In 2024 alone, the country commissioned approximately 80 gigawatts of new wind capacity, far surpassing other nations. This rapid development is part of China's broader strategy to gain leadership in renewable energy technologies and reduce its reliance on fossil fuels. The stark contrast in the political and investment climate between the United States and other regions of the world underscores the critical importance of government support and clear regulatory frameworks for the successful implementation of renewable energy projects. While the United States grapples with political instability and bureaucratic hurdles, Europe and Asia are actively seizing the opportunity to take the lead in offshore wind energy development, securing economic benefits and technological supremacy in the global transition to clean energy. The prospects for offshore wind energy development in the United States by 2025 are becoming increasingly uncertain due to recent changes in federal policy, economic challenges, and global investment trends. In January 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order suspending the issuance of new leases and permits for offshore wind energy projects on federal lands and in federal waters, citing environmental risks and economic concerns. This recent decision has had a bombshell effect on the energy industry, with over 90% of planned offshore wind projects, totaling more than 60 gigawatts of capacity, facing potential delays or outright cancellation. Industry giants such as Ørsted and Shell have been forced to announce significant financial losses on their American projects, reflecting growing anxiety and instability in this sector. According to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, by the end of 2023, the U.S. offshore wind project pipeline had grown by an impressive 53%, reaching a potential generating capacity of 80.5 gigawatts, enough to power approximately 28 million American homes. However, recent political maneuvers have cast doubt on the feasibility of these ambitious plans. While individual projects that have already received the green light, such as Revolution Wind and Coastal Virginia Offshore Wind, continue to move forward, they remain under close scrutiny and potential revisions. Economic realities are also contributing to the bleak outlook for the industry. Financial calculations indicate that electricity generated by projects like Empire Wind 1 could cost consumers 2.5 times the current market prices, raising serious concerns about the affordability and economic viability of offshore wind energy. Amidst these developments, other regions of the world are continuing to move forward confidently in the development of this sector. Europe's wind energy horizons continue to expand, propelled by strong political tailwinds and generous investments. China has made a rapid leap, becoming a global leader in offshore wind energy, commissioning staggering amounts of new capacity, surpassing the combined achievements of all other countries. The future of American offshore wind energy, like a weather vane, is highly sensitive to political winds. The outcome of the 2026 midterm elections and the 2028 presidential race will be decisive. A change in political course could pave the way for renewed federal support, while maintaining Republican control risks further entrenching existing barriers. In search of workarounds, some companies are turning their attention to coastal projects under state jurisdiction and investing in promising floating offshore wind technologies, seeking to mitigate federal restrictions and local opposition. However, without a clear and consistent federal policy, the United States risks falling far behind in the global race for clean energy. To restore investor confidence, it is not enough to simply lift existing moratoriums. Long-term incentives, streamlined permitting procedures, and fair, predictable application of environmental regulations are needed. Otherwise, the economic benefits and technological leadership that a strong offshore wind energy industry promises may flow to other regions that offer a more stable and favorable environment for development. The channel authors encourage viewers to engage in open dialogue, inviting them to share their opinions regarding the presented analysis. Any feedback, whether pointing out possible exaggerations or overlooked details, is welcome. The content creators express their sincere gratitude for the attention and time devoted to viewing. They emphasize that the presence of each viewer is of great importance to them. If the video sparked interest or inspiration, the authors ask for support by liking and subscribing to their work to stay updated on new publications and be part of the community. In conclusion, viewers are invited to explore other materials on the channel that are already available for viewing.